Hello.
Hello, Claire. How are you?
I'm good. I was just suddenly very hot. I just had to whip while the little intro thing was doing its thing. I had to whip my jumper off because it is quite steamy here today. So I've got I've got a two-worder for you. As you had one last time, I thought it was just right that I should have one. I've got mental health, which I cannot
Mm,
believe we haven't talked about before. When I looked at the list,
mm,
mental health. Off you go.
mental health. Yeah, well, who's to decide really what mental health is? Yeah, where where does life want to go with this? That's really where it wants to go. It's like, what is mental health?
Mhm.
Like I can my personal mind can see what a complex, convoluted, confusing, multi concept that mental health can be. And that's not what when wisdom is pointing to how, oh, it's very simple. It's like, are you enjoying yourself? Are you are you is there more like, to me in my mind, I'm seeing it's like blinders off, and it's light rather than a any kind of parameters or structure around what mental health is. That makes it feel not healthy, actually. So, very simply, how am I really seeing this? I'm seeing this as, if life is kind of feeling good, even when there's some sad things going on, even when there's some struggle, even when there's some things that, oh, this looks like how am I going to navigate this? What am I going to do with that? Wow, now this has come up. Now what do I got to do? That's kind of made things look harder. And mental health is, it's like a space of, uh, I got this, knowing that whatever comes my way, I'm okay. A way through is going to appear. I may not know right in this moment because I got so much thinking about it and it was unexpected, and it's like, oh, that makes, let me come an example. A bill or something, the furnace blowing up or something like that. It's like, oh, what, it could be looked at that if we're not in a place mm, of, I'm going to say quiet, but it's really just being present to what is. If we're more involved in our thought, it can look like we're mentally overwhelmed or something sideways or there's something wrong, right?
Hmm.
And if we're just in this open space, we can see that, okay, something's going to come. We'll know what to do. And maybe I know what to do right away. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, well, let's just go take care of that. And there's something that's going to come that's going to cover it, or like whether it's a money situation or what. Like, is that why it looks complicated? Is it because you were going to go on vacation and now I have to spend my vacation money on fixing my furnace or something like that? It's like how you respond to that is not letting you know necessarily of what you're what your actual state of mental health is. It's more pointing to your state of thinking, what you're focusing on, what your attention is on, can make it look like you're well or not well from a mental state, but really, you're always well. You always have that ability. You're always connected to that space. Wow. It is a space within because it's an inside out world, but you're always connected to that place where everything is okay. No matter what happens out there in the physical world, you're okay. That sounded very, when I think back, that was all very convoluted, but the simplicity of it is we all have this mental health. And the only thing that makes it seem that we don't, whether it be like we're depressed or I had a bout in my life where back then I called myself depressed, that I had depression. And now I see I was just in this swirl of, my attention was focused most of the time, most of my aware time, on depressive thinking and low thinking that had me feeling like, wow, there's something wrong with me. I'm depressed. But really, it was just like I got caught in a swirl of crappy thinking that had me feeling like that. And then I experienced it in my life. And then at some point, I rose to the surface. I rose above all the stinky thinking. And it's like, oh, I can see the light. And that was exactly how it felt. It's just like, oh, I feel like I see light and I'm seeing more. Things are looking good. Even when things seem to not be working well in the circumstance, it's like, oh, it's okay. I'm okay. Yeah. So that was a here, there, and everywhere.
It didn't come across like that at all, by the way.
Oh, good.
It didn't feel convoluted from this end. It was lovely.
Good.
Okay. And I think, like, kind of, it's still how we think about it, isn't it? Like, I was chatting earlier to some women a similar age to us, and talking about how, we call something nerves. Back in the day, you got nervous about your driving tests and your first date and your exams and things like that. And we just called it nerves. And we kind of, I think we still would have attributed it outside in. We would have said, oh, it's caused by the first date, the driving test, the exam, whatever it is. But we kind of had this sense that it was okay to experience that and not get bothered by the experience, I suppose. I mean, my favourite Sydney Banks quote is the only thing that people learned was not to be afraid of their experience. That alone would change the world. It's like my favourite one. Apparently it's not in any of the books and nobody quite knows whether he actually said it, but it's like, that's my favourite quote. Because that's mental health, isn't it? Is being okay with any of our experiences, like it's this underlying sense of that's okay. I'm okay in that. Like, I'm okay if my furnace blows up. I'm okay. I'm not, I'm not going to fall apart. I'm kind of okay. And I think when I used to brand myself as the Queen of Calm, which I stopped doing because I felt like I was encouraging people to seek calm, it wasn't really about that. It was about this sense that underlying all our experience, you can be calm and sad, you can be calm and happy, you can be calm and angry, you can kind of get this sense of, I guess it's maybe that pool of awareness, maybe that is our mental health, that sense of, this is I'm me, like the truth of who I am, the mental health, the resilience, all that is there all the time. And then there's all these experiences going through that, and that they're all transient, they're all fluid. And I guess where people would, attach themselves to a mental illness label, because I do not like the way we talk about, people say, oh, it's Mental Health Awareness Week, and then proceed to talk about mental illness for the entire week. No, you're not talking about mental health. You're talking about mental illness. Don't pretend that you're talking about mental health when you're not. But that when we see ourselves as mentally ill, it's that we're not okay with those experiences. Like, we're not okay to wake up in a low mood. I had one client who came to me very early on. It must have been early on after I came across the principles, because I feel like I was still sort of in that semi-lockdown weird thing where he had to come through the patio doors while I stood back 2 meters, and then he sat one side of the room and I sat at the other. Yeah, we're 2 meters apart. It's okay. That nonsense. And he said he was waking up in a bad mood every day, and I just sort of said, well, maybe, is that okay though? Is it a problem to wake up in a bad mood? And he was, and then we had a little bit more of a conversation like the ones we have. And by the end of it, he was just flabbergasted. And of course, the relief was, it's okay to wake up in a bad mood. It's okay to feel nervous. It's okay to experience all these things. They're just part of a normal human experience. And maybe part of the mental illness crisis is a lot of things are not seen as part of the normal human experience anymore. They've been pathologized and made to seem wrong, that they're not, it's not okay to have that. And I think, unfortunately, with the generation beneath us, that our children have been taught way too much about it. Like, I get what people were doing with the awareness raising, but now these children have all been shown a PowerPoint slide which tells them what anxiety is. So now when they experience the nerves, it's not nerves, I've got anxiety. And that spiral is like a self-feeding spiral, isn't it? I think I've got anxiety because I've got these angry butterflies in my stomach. Now I've got more thinking and I'm worrying about anxiety. So now I've got more. And then before you know it, somebody's in a state they then struggle to get out of.
Yeah.
And that's just because that initial experience is not seen as something passing through our mental health, as opposed to something that is us. That's us. That thing that's happening is us. We are that now. Because the way people speak, when we speak about it, I'm anxious or I have anxiety, as if it's a thing.
Yeah.
And it's not a thing. As Michael Neal says, if you can't put it in a wheelbarrow, it's your thinking. I mean, I know you can't put an elephant in a wheelbarrow, but that's just a bit too literal. But that's what he says. He says if it's a concept like confidence or time or anxiety, then it has to be something that is, even the word has been made up, hasn't it? These words, these labels that have made the DSM, which people don't know, is I suppose we call it the mental illness directory of the US. It's gone from being this little tiny pamphlet in 1950 to be, I think they need wheelbarrows for that. That does exist in the wheelbarrow. It's huge now, because all sorts of things that were just normal, I guess, seen as normal human experience, have now been pathologized and made into an illness. And that's not who we are. And I often, one of my favorite things is pausing. Like, that's probably the only tool or technique I ever kind of say to people. Just, they'll get so busy and they're going so fast, and I sometimes just say, like, just what would happen if just a few times a day you just stopped and breathed and felt your feet on the floor, like for a few seconds. It's not a long thing. It's just a moment. And I think we can reconnect to that space. Like you said, the space within. It's always there like a well. It's always there within us. That takes seconds, which just shows that that's the consistent thing. The mental health is the consistent thing. And the thinking, the mental illness stuff, that's the passing through thing. Whereas it seems at the moment in society, we've got that the other way around, that mental health is something you've got to go get. And that mental illness is something that's you, which is just so topsy-turvy. There's another podcast in our community called Psychology Has It Backwards. And I think it has. It's completely back to front.
Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting. I'll share this because I'm seeing a psychologist right now. I think that's what he is. Because there's an understanding, and I see, and I've experienced wellness, if we're calling it that, mental health. And I'll describe it more without that word. It's like, it's like peace. It's like a knowing. It's like that. And I have a coach in the 3 principles world, and I wanted to hear other language, because sometimes we hear something over and over and it becomes like the box in the middle of the room that hasn't been unpacked yet. You just get so used to it. It's like, yeah, I know it's there. I know, yeah. Do you remember that box in the middle? Yeah. I know. And then I just keep walking around it. And it's just like, let me hear some different language. And I was pleasantly surprised, because I thought I was ready for a little bit of a fight. It's going to give me all this psychological stuff and tell me things that it's like, I'm going to like, no, you're wrong. And it's like, no, it's like, let me just see what happens. And I was pleasantly surprised to hear, oh okay. He gets it. And he's using different language. And sometimes we kind of need that. We almost need to like stand up and move to a different part of the room and now do what you suggested, pause, and just allow yourself a different perspective to see the same thing. How am I already well? How are things really okay? And you'll come again and again when you open up to this idea, to test it out for yourself and see how this is really true, how it really is true. Because no matter if you believe that you have anxiety or depression or OCD or I don't know, there's so many different words. Like you said, I hear the book is like 800, I don't even know how many pages long it is now with all the different diagnoses listed in it. You're not it 100% of the time. Because even when I thought I had depression, there were times in those few years, whenever, where I laughed, where I saw beautiful things and I could appreciate them, where I wasn't thinking that, oh, right, my depression. As you said, it comes and goes with your attention. What are you looking for? Because we tend to get more of what we're looking for. And when we look for where is my health? What is that? What is even health? Like, to me, health is, oh my gosh, when I, speaking of this psychologist, where it's in a building with a little sort of a building with lots of shapes to it. You go down this hallway and there's that hallway, and outside it creates little alcoves. And as I'm going in, walking to my appointment, this is just an example of health, well-being, was a deer and 2 fawns that were brand spanking new. They were wet. And it's like that, experiencing that and being able to like take that in, that is health. That is beauty. That is freedom. That is a miracle. That is nature. That is pure. That is untainted. Untainted. And when I and then I'll share this, how humans with whatever thoughts they got going on in their mind, when I was looking at the video that I was taking of this miracle, I wanted to like not just relive it in my mind, I wanted to watch it and I wanted to share it with my family, because it's like, look at this. You can hear some women in the hallway talking about where's the man, as this doe is taking care of her 2 babies, and and they were joking and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is so cool. That's how we can contaminate something of nature, something that's so natural, where we'll bring in this other stuff to like layer over top of it. And it's just like, well, like I don't want to listen to anything when I watch that beauty, because it is uncontaminated until, and the only time it will be contaminated is when we sort of layer some thinking on top of it. Anyways, it was fascinating to kind of like see that, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm ignoring all of that. Look at this. That was pure mental health.
That's presence, isn't it? What you're describing now is just being with something 100% without any, without our predetermined ideas about men not looking after children as well as women or whatever. It's, I often think presence is mental health. Like if we're in the present moment, we are connected to that well of health. Our disconnect is when we're in our heads in the past or the future with our stories and our nonsense about things. Our experience in the here and now can only be healthy, really, because that's where we're supposed to live, and we just spend maybe a little tad too much time to-ing and fro-ing in the past and the future. But that pure present connection to what's in front of us is, it's just pure, isn't it?
Indeed.
I can't believe we haven't done that one. That's shocked me. Oh, how is that possible?
Very good. Very good, Claire. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's beautiful. Yeah. See you next time.
See you then. Ciao.
Bye.